Well, good afternoon, and thank you for joining me here today. I really want to thank Council President Sherri Lightner and Councilmember Sherman for joining us as well. And I know the engineer in Sherri is going to be very excited with the technology that we're talking about here today. And I also want to thank the folks at Cartegraph Systems for showing off the technology and what we're really doing to improve street repair in the city of San Diego. I think many folks know that during my State of the City speech, I said that I am making street repair the highest infrastructure priority in our city. And we are going forward with a 5-year plan that will double street repair efforts. And with that pledge, we are going to pave 1,000 miles of streets over the next 5 years. The bottom line is that we're going to fix our streets starting right now. And I've said many times, there's no Democrat, Republican, or independent way to fill a pothole. It's about all of us coming together to making infrastructure and our street repair our top priority. And there's no reason that we have to wait for a ballot measure in 2016 to start fixing our streets. And that's why I'm putting forward a series of reforms next month that will repair the city's repair program. We have to fix how the city manages its projects and its money, and I'm committed to both. And these proposed changes will ensure the highest quality repairs are made as quickly as possible, and that our city is better prepared to take on our infrastructure backlog. And one of the key elements in being prepared is we have to continually track the condition of our city streets. We have nearly 2,800 miles of streets in the city of San Diego, and far too many of them are in rough shape. So a citywide condition assessment of our streets helps us to select and prioritize which ones should be fixed and which ones should be fixed right now. And that's what today is all about. The data also allows us to project the funding levels that we're going to need to accomplish that goal. And I'll let some of the other speakers here get into the technical details of how we're going to do that and gather that information. But I will say that the information that we are collecting is invaluable to the city. It's going to help us make sure that we're spending our money wisely on the streets that need it and the streets that need immediate attention now. And it helps to make sure that every single neighborhood gets fair and equal treatment. That is one of the things that I'm committed to as mayor. It's to making sure our street repair goes to those neighborhoods that need it first, not done on political boundaries or geographic locations. Where do we need to fix those streets right away? So this is really going to help us get the big picture view on how our streets are holding up, and it's something that was sorely lacking in the past. Most importantly, this is the real type of data that we need to make those funding decisions to get us going and to get us going right away. So now I'd like to invite our Council President, Sherri Lightner, to say a few words. Sherri?
Thank you, Mayor Faulconer. I'm happy to be here today to profile one of the city's many projects that focuses on infrastructure improvements. If there is anything that San Diegans are passionate about, it's their streets. Regardless of your council district, I know I speak for all my council colleagues when I say that infrastructure improvements are a priority for all of us. As a part of the city's multi-year capital plan, we are committed to taking an inventory of the city's assets, which includes street, pavement, condition assessments. Streets are one of our most valuable assets, so this is a great place to start. Having streets in good condition is important for many reasons. Safety is a primary benefit. Keeping drivers, bicyclists, and pedestrians safe with smooth roads and sidewalks is one of our main objectives. Beautification is also another important objective. When streets are in good condition, they look nice, which means our neighborhoods look nice. It's like making your bed in the morning. It just makes your room look tidier. We want businesses to invest and reinvest in local neighborhoods, and they will do that if they know the area looks nice and customers can safely get to their doorsteps. It is true that when neighborhoods look nice, residential pride soars and economic development follows. I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this. We want residents to feel a sense of pride in their communities, and they have that when their streets are in great shape. Projects like this one are a great example of the city's renewed efforts to assess the condition of our assets. The technology you see here today will provide a thorough and cost-effective analysis of infrastructure conditions, assist in prioritizing projects, and help in developing a funding plan for all of our needs. With that, I'd like to introduce the council member for this district, Mr. Scott Sherman.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah. Thank you. It's good to see you all here today. And I think we've all said it here. The thing we hear most from constituents, condition of our streets, public safety. Those are the two things that I hear all the time. And this gets us much closer to addressing that problem once and for all. You know, for too long, we've been doing things the same way, and now we're starting to embrace technology that'll help make our assessments of our streets and our stormwater facilities and assets more complete. You can't really get out and repair something if you don't know what you have there that needs repairing. And that's what this will do. And I want to commend the mayor's office for thinking outside the box a little bit, going outside what the normal parameters are. You know, back in the day, it would be a whole bunch of people physically walking and assessing the streets. Now we can cover much more distance in a much shorter amount of time, making much more better use of the taxpayer dollar, and then taking that savings and putting it back into the community and actually fixing the streets that we just assessed. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your creative thinking. Thank you to the council member, because I know what her thoughts are about technology and how to embrace technology and use it for the benefit of the taxpayers. And I think now I'm supposed to, Chris? Yes. Yeah, Chris McFadden.
Thank you, Councilman Sherman. We do appreciate your support, as well as all of council's support for this effort. As Mayor Faulconer has pledged, road repairs are #1 infrastructure priority for the city. Making sure we get that work done as efficiently and cost-effective as possible is what we're here to talk about today. Cartegraph is going to give us the raw data that we need to make these critical decisions. Just to give you an idea, we're looking at over 2,700 miles of road that we're going to be assessing. That's the distance it would take you to drive from San Diego to New York. That's an important thing to remember, and we're going to let everybody know about each bump, pothole, and ripple along the way. We'll take that data and compare it with the facts of our roads and to choose where we conduct repairs. We will continue to work throughout the year ahead, and you should see more of the streets condition assessments look more like Yorick Street on our left instead of Tate Street behind us. We're going to smooth things out and make it easier to drive in San Diego and in your community. Thank you today for your support, and we're available to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for the technology or anything, guys?
Yeah, do you have a cost comparison of how much of a cost these are versus the old way of doing it?
Well, what we're really looking at is time is a critical factor. We do know that we've budgeted for this. This is the way that most cities actually have done it. Instead of walking 2,700 miles individually, this also gives us much more precise data. We have a visualization, and we also have the exact data that we can use that you just could not get from people alone. The contract that we're using, the contract right now, it's going to be just about $550,000 to do the assessment.
What other cities have done this?
Actually, really any major city, well, like LA and throughout the entire nation. Cartegraph, I know, has contracts throughout the entire nation with different municipalities, and there are other service providers that can do the same type of assessment as well.
And we've done it before, too.
And this is the second time we've used Cartegraph. The last time we performed this was 2011.
I think somebody's going to trust me to get behind the wheel to demonstrate. Is that what we're doing?
Well, Mayor, can we ask just about the budget here?
Yeah.
This is an expensive effort. Tell us where this money's going to come from.
Yeah, it's coming out of our general fund budget because it's a priority. We have to get back on street repairs. We looked at, and when we went out as a city, went to every planning group and to say, as we're putting together our capital improvements project, all of the different city facilities, et cetera, what is the #1 priority? In every single community, it was fix the streets. That's what this is all about. And as we, my commitment with 50% new revenue, we see the savings that we're having from the reforms at City Hall. They got to be put right back into the roads where it belongs. This is going to help us do it. much faster, much more efficient, and give San Diegans the roads that they deserve, the roads that they're paying for.
Have you been able to identify some of the worst of the worst yet?
There's a lot of worst of the worst. And I can tell you, no matter, I don't care what council district you live in, we know the help that needs to be done, and that's why this is going to help not only to prioritize it, but also my commitment to make sure we're actually, repairing our city's repair program, taking dollars out of projects that, are not going to be funded for years and years, put it right back into street repair now. That's what we should be doing, and that's what I'm going to do.
How many cars are
The contract is actually for the use of these cars, so the city's not purchasing the cars. We're contracting with Cartegraph to do the work. We anticipate it'll probably take about 6 months to collect all the data, and probably a few other months besides that, but within 8 or 9 months we expect to have a report complete.
How many cars will be out?
Just these two will be the ones that you'll see.
Are these assessing the street in its entirety? Is there a level like, okay, this street has got to be totally repaired, totally redone, or does go?
What the truck actually does is that takes the measurements of the pavement itself. So it tells you if there are cracks, if there are potholes, and actually the front car does the visualization. So similar to what you'll see on Google Maps, we'll actually have that data available for city officials that we can actually use and look at on a regular basis without having to go out and do a site inspection.
In a nutshell, this visually tells what we're looking at with the cameras and give us a little bit of a description in a nutshell.
Well, the Prius right here, you've probably seen the Google car go throughout your neighborhood before. This will go and do a panoramic view of the cities, of the streets. So you'll actually get to see not only the streets, we can look at the sidewalks, we can capture data on lampposts and street lights and information like that. And it's the truck actually will take the more measurements that will use both of those data and combine it to come up with what's called an overall condition index. So that is the number, that's really the target that we're looking at right now. We know the city streets are at about a 54 overall condition index. Our goal in 10 years is to reach a good level, which is 70, OCI of 70 in 10 years. I can start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, this was, of course, an audit recommendation that we actually do this every 4 years, and it's also a standard that they do recommend municipalities do it every 4 years. The reason is not every road deteriorates at the same level. So you might be able to make that assumption, but until you actually go out and see what the level of that street is, that really helps you prioritize your money and spend it better.
Yeah.
How does San Diego stack up in comparison to other cities?
Yeah, I know other cities are facing obviously similar infrastructures, but I think San Diegans was made worse because when you look at all the dollars that weren't being put into neighborhoods and roads, when you look at the pension underfunding and others, in the recession, we got to make sure that our dollars are being put back into street repair. And one of the things that's been very important to me is, severalfold. A, we got to make sure we're spending our money efficiently, so we actually do it based upon need. But also, one of the things that I'm looking at is taking out dollars for projects that won't be funded for 5, 6, 7 years from now. Put that money to work in our neighborhoods now. That's part of the problem, that the city has not been doing a good job on making those repairs that we should be right now. We've also said when it comes to issues of potholes, the city used to do it and used to go on, this came out of an audit as well, used to do potholes just based upon what's on a list, and the crews may go by and pass another pothole that wasn't on the list. We said now go into the same neighborhood, take care of not only those potholes that are on the list, but if you're driving around and seeing another pothole, fix it while you're there. That's the type of common sense approach that I think was lacking. And one of the things that I feel strongly about is it gets to our quality of life, it gets to our neighborhoods, and everybody that drives a car, rides a bike, or is out there knows exactly what I'm talking about in terms of the need that we need to do this.
But this was done in 2011, same thing, correct?
Yes.
One more, and then we'll drive around. Go ahead.
And one last comment about why not spend the money on just fixing the streets instead of doing the assessment. These assessments are so detailed and so spec on that if there's a broken pipe or contracting needs to be done where things need to be taken care of out of the street, we'll know exactly from the visual and from the data, okay, that pipe is exactly so many feet from the curb, and that saves a lot of time and exploration and men going out and looking for the spot and using monitors and all that. So in the long run, it's well worth the investment.
It's changed between now and 2011 before
Just finishing the streets.
Yeah, I mean, I think my commitment is to change to actually make sure that the funding is there to fix the roads. Making road repair a priority in our infrastructure budget. Saying that 50% of all new revenue is going to go into infrastructure. We have to have that fiscal stewardship that says this is important to the city. So that's going to be reflected in the new budget that we're coming out with. That's going to be reflected in future infrastructure bonds. That's important. We have to get back on track. And I'm going to make road repair, and road repair our #1 infrastructure priority.
In 2011, you had an assessment that no actual repairs were done out of the assessment.
Chris, you want to talk about that?
And, yes, 2011, we did generate the overall condition index, and we did and have used that since 2011 to prioritize those streets which we have funding to do. What we're moving into now is not only will we know where we have to go, but we'll be able to have the funding to do it.
Can you tell us how San Diego stacks up to some of the other cities that you've seen?
Well, I would say looking at City of LA and City of San Francisco, we look at those a lot, and it's very similar. I think a lot of cities are experiencing the same thing, not just in California, but nationwide. And just now are people starting to talk about it. So this is really us kind of getting ahead of everyone else.
Thanks, guys. Go ahead, Sherri.
Yeah. The question was raised whether it's worth it to spend the money on getting the conditions assessment. That's something that's very important for our planning for the multi-year capital plan. It is why we are waiting on some of the other assessments that are out there. And just being able to prioritize and say it introduces a level of fairness into the whole equation that the mayor was talking about earlier. This isn't a district by district problem. This is throughout the city, and we will address it as a citywide issue.
Thanks, guys. Bill, which one do you want me to use?
Spencer can help.